Nancy Pelosi has confirmed overnight she's retiring from politics. The 85-year-old will step down when her term ends in 2027. As one of the most powerful women in American history, Pelosi was an icon of the left, but demonised by the right. Joining us live this morning, Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, good to see you this morning. Thanks for your time. So let's just park party lines to the side for the moment. What is her legacy?
Well, Nancy Pelosi has two legacies, I would say. Obviously, to your point, one of the most powerful women in U.S. history. She made history for being the first female Speaker of the House back in 2007. And legacy media here in the U.S., well, they treated that like it was, the first moon landing. But after you go through that box checking exercise, what will her legacy be in terms of representing San Francisco, for example, for many decades? Well, that used to be considered the crown jewel of the West Coast. And now it is a city where fewer people are living in than ever. Families are practically extinct. There are more residents in San Francisco owning dogs right now than having children. And the reason for that is crime, homelessness, tent cities, and drugs. And then we could also remember the fact that Nancy Pelosi was the one who drove Joe Biden out of running again for president after that disastrous debate against Donald Trump in 2024, and she installed Kamala Harris instead, and she lost the popular vote in every swing state. So between that and the fact that she has made more than $100 million in the stock market, while she was obviously serving in Congress, having access to all these sensitive government contracts, I mean, she has the best stock picking ability we've seen since Gordon Gekko. So that's always kind of rubbed people the wrong way as well. Yeah. So yes, she was historic. At the same time, a lot of things there that you could
sure. So despite all of that, what made her so popular?
Well, I think the left, what made her popular was the fact that she got Democrats to fall in line and stay in lockstep whenever it was opposing anything that Republicans did. So that sort of power, that sort of intimidation showed that this was somebody that ruled the party as far as being a congresswoman, a House of Representatives speaker, obviously, than ever before. So I think in the end, her fact that she could resist more than any other person in Congress to the Republican agenda, at least to the left, they certainly see that as a
right. So she could kind of corral the troops better than most others.
With the cats, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, I mean, she's 85. She'll be 87 by the time she leaves in 2027 or thereabouts. I mean, what? Yeah. I don't want to be working when I'm 85. I might not even be alive when I'm 85. What does she want to stay in the gig for so long? Is it a power thing?
Oh, I think absolutely. I mean, money doesn't mean anything to her at this point. Obviously, we talked about the type of wealth that she's accumulated. So when you have money, then what's left except for power? And that usually is driven by ego and this yearning to be relevant. She was one of the most active people in cable news here as far as doing interviews seemingly on an almost daily basis. So perhaps it was the attention, perhaps it was the power. But once she lost the House speakership, just being a regular congresswoman at 87 years old, that's something I think most people certainly would not sign up for.
Yeah, so let's get now to the competing statements overnight. You touched on it as well. The president shared his thoughts. They were not on friendly terms, Trump and Pelosi. What was the catalyst for that?
Oh, I think in the end it was a ego struggle, quite frankly, where Donald Trump wanted to take the country in one direction. Nancy Pelosi would go in quite another. And then you had these two powerful people butting heads and made it personal on a very personal level. Obviously, Nancy Pelosi calling Donald Trump just this week a vile human being and the worst person on the planet. So once it gets to that level, we're no longer talking about, hey, who believes in tax cuts and who doesn't. This, for whatever reason, was a very personal battle between these two, two people who, quite frankly, don't back down. And it clearly showed during their times.
Well, you know what? At least you knew Donald Trump's true thoughts about things. Let's go to Joe Biden. And this is part of his tweet, his ex-statement earlier, where he said, Nancy Pelosi was the best speaker in the House in American history. That's why I awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. When I was president, we worked together, et cetera, et cetera. It was all very nice. But she shafted him, right? There was no mention of that.
Yeah, if Joe Biden got in front of a microphone and said that and actually took questions about her, then I would say, okay, that's genuine. When a statement is written like that, like it was written by a speech maker or somebody from, Biden's PR arm, then I would say that's the thing. Like, it's just almost too nice. Now, he's taken the high road and that's good, I guess. But at the same time, this is somebody who shivved Joe Biden, led that coup against him, a sitting president. We have not seen that since Lyndon Baines Johnson, where a sitting president said, I'm not running for re-election again. And that's because he was bullied by his own party, starting with Nancy Pelosi.
Joe Concha, good to see you this morning, Joe. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Talk to you soon.